So the big tax question is this: how do wealthy people keep their money working for them when selling their business, real estate, or other highly appreciated assets without paying hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars in tax? What if we, as business and real estate owners who have poured blood, sweat, and tears to growing our wealth, and who didn't hire expensive tax attorneys and CPAs to map out an exit strategy, knew their secrets? Instead of recreating the wheel, why can't we just model the way they deferred 30 to 50% in tax, paid off debt, funded their next business dream, and most importantly, leave a financial legacy to give to the causes we believe in most? What if their secrets weren't complicated at all, and you just need a guide who is a few steps ahead of you? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answers. My name is Brett Swartz, and welcome to Capital Gains Tax Solutions. Welcome to another episode of Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast, and we like to bring on specialists who are focused in the financial industry to help people create and preserve more wealth. And that's exactly who our next guest is. He's actually located in Arkansas, and he is the owner and founder of Infinite Wealth Management. And he is going to share some of his insights and some inspiration of how he's helped his clients in the past create and preserve more wealth through different financial strategies and techniques. So you can find him or you can actually email him at jeremy@infinitewealthmanagement.com, and that's INFINT wealth, and then it's NT.com, correct? Or walk us through that, Jeremy. And Jeremy, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Excellent. And so, Jeremy, tell us a little bit about your background and sort of how you got started in the industry.
Sure. So I like to say I'm a recovering engineer. So I went to engineering school in Mississippi, and I graduated around 2003. And shortly thereafter, I got involved in some of the financial markets and analysis with some of the expertise I developed as an engineer. And I transitioned out of that because I came to determine that it was a little bit too risky. It was the foreign exchange markets. I don't know if you're familiar with many of the folks out there familiar with foreign exchange and currency exchange, but I moved away from that because I thought it was just a touch too risky. And I've since gotten into more of sound money design. And that's something else I like to say about the way that I manage money and clients' funds is, since I'm an engineer, I go back to efficient and effective system design. So I like to go to sound money design, insurance products, and helping people preserve their wealth for the long term, not just the get rich quick schemes, good investment decisions. And part of that has led me to the conversation today about the DST. So
tell me a little bit about who Jeremy was growing up. In other words, I think we're all given certain gifts in this world and different talents, but is there one particular gift that you were given and that you kind of recognize as a child or growing up? And what was that gift, and how has that helped how you help people today?
Well, from an early age, I grew up in South Mississippi. So if anybody knows anything about South Mississippi, it's rural. It's a lot of farmlands. I worked on plenty of farms growing up, and I think that probably led me into, because when you're on a farm, you find a way to make things work. You find a way to make that situation go away, whatever that problem is. And you don't necessarily have the option of running down to the local store to buy whatever it is you need to make it happen. So because of some of that, I think that led to my following a path of engineering and system design and how it all works together and what are the best paths to go to get to the desired outcome. So if I had to say any one thing probably help with that, it would be that exposure to being in a pinch and trying to find that the shortest path to success.
Excellent. Work smarter, not harder, right? And figure out a way to persevere through different challenges.
Definitely.
Excellent. Yep. So shifting a little bit, you found ways to help clients create and preserve more wealth. But also you recently joined with the estate planning team and to be offered the Deferred Sales Trust and partnering with Capital Gains Tax Solutions. So walk us through that journey for yourself and what is it that your clients are facing right now that you feel that this might be a good solution for them?
Well, so like many folks out there that are at financial advisors in this world, they are always looking for the solution for their client, whether that be an investment solution or a vehicle to keep their money in their control as opposed to having control of Uncle Sam who wants to give your cash to to the tax man, right? And so several months ago, I stumbled upon the DST. I read about it. I watched as many videos as I possibly could. I got on the podcast and listened to those and started piecing it all together, and it just made sense to me. Understanding a little bit of the legal aspects of how entities are treated in our tax system, reading on the IRS code. As I said, I was an engineer, right? So I like all the details. Give me all the details. So I read the IRC, the 453 code off of which the DST is based, and it all really just clicked with me as to, man, this is really a way that I can help some of my clients with the higher appreciated assets keep their money in their control, working for them, and not fearful of that tax liability that's coming down the pike. As financial advisors, we're always trying to find that best way to keep that money in their control. So that's what kind of led me to the DST. And then, as I said, a couple of months back, I signed up with the estate planning team, and I've been training with Michael on how that works. And here we are.
Absolutely. And to that point, that's sort of like my journey too. I was in commercial real estate at Marcus and Millichap and helping people buy and sell commercial real estate, mainly multifamily properties in Northern California. Had done 1031 exchanges and really just like to help people solve problems and add value to them in some way. We found that certain strategies work well for certain situations, but as this new baby boomer population is aging and looking to retire from the toilets, the trash, the liability, looking to downsize their time and energy from so much work to more so freedom and flexibility, they're looking for ways to sell and to liquidate without getting hammered by the 30 to 50% capital gains tax. In fact, the American Bankers Association just did a survey, and the survey found that there's about 77 million baby boomers in the U.S. alone, and every day about 10,000 of them are turning 65. And there's about $17 trillion that will pass from one generation to the next in the next 20 years. So there's this massive problem and this huge tax liability with some of the most highly appreciated assets in the history of the world that we know of. And they're facing 30 to 50% it's going to be wiped out. And you can pay the government the tax, and they can waste it away pretty quick, or you can keep it in your family, in your estate, in your community, and hopefully give more, right? Not just so that you can build your own wealth, right, which is important for you and your family, but beyond that, be able to fund charitable organizations or fund different projects with money that you can touch and hold and feel, right? Versus, again, giving it to a government that too often does not spend it wisely and basically kind of, we think, waste it away. So the Deferred Sales Trust is a great tool for that. And with that, a great way, what I've found, to be able to actually grow your influence in your business, because let's be honest, we're in a business, if we're in a service business for high net worth individuals, to add value. We're in the business of adding value and solving problems, and those go hand in hand. And when you have a tool that can do that, it can really help them, and which can in turn grow your business. So Jeremy, walk through perhaps what you've tried in the past, and again, what about the Deferred Sales Trust that you really think is going to add the most value to your clients?
So something that we've discussed in the office before is, and I'm sure it's the hot topic of today, is the opportunity zones. Have you heard of the opportunity zones?
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So opportunity zones are the way that people are trying to shelter their cash from tax liability. And that seems to be, like I said, the hot topic of du jour. I talk with several of my other advisor buddies that have been doing this for a number of years, and they're trying to get into that. Well, I brought them actually into the DST, or at least I've introduced them to it to say, hey, there's an opportunity here that I think, where the opportunity zones become more risky. It locks up your capital and doesn't. It's less versatile than anything I've seen. I just haven't been sold on that particular way of assisting clients get their cash out of their assets and into something that's a little bit more sheltered. I think that it's a touch too risky, a little bit too dangerous. So, in again the search for good and other options, better options that come along the line there is I stumbled upon the DST. Well, the versatility of the DST, you can diversify your investments. You're not time limited like 1031s or with the opportunity zones. You have other times that you have to abide by to avoid capital gains liabilities. You can use the DST for a number of other things like estate planning and getting maybe even leveraging it, depending on what's in the DST, to free up your estate taxes and capital gains taxes upon your death. So the versatility, the lack of risk that is inherent with the process, and that doesn't mean that the investment selection isn't risky. Obviously, if the note holder is risk tolerant, then they can go that way. But and then the versatility, the being able to just use it as the customer sees as appropriate. It's just I couldn't find anything that would compete. So.
Yeah, that's what we found too, right? The flexibility, the ability to diversify, and then to have what's called optimal timing, where you can put money into real estate tomorrow or day 181 or 5 years from now. You can put money into an opportunity zone deal if you wanted to too. But you may not want to put all of your money, right, or all of your gain, and you might want to be all restricted into one single asset or one single opportunity zone fund. With the Deferred Sales Trust, a lot of the clients that we work with are looking for the ability to have liquidity, diversification, some insurance products, some financial products, some real estate products, a mixture of multiple things versus just one operator or one deal. And so that is truly a nice part of the Deferred Sales Trust to have that. So shifting gears, Jeremy, what's the most rewarding part of what you do? You know, what really attracted you to being fascinated and or obsessed with helping people create and preserve more wealth through financial strategies that you help people with?
Well, so my dad says it all the time. My dad's around 66 years old, and he says all the time the financial world to someone who isn't in it every single day seems very, very dangerous, and it's very stressful for someone who doesn't necessarily have the time or the desire to dig into the details and really understand what's going on. What are you leveraging? What are you giving up? What are you risking? And the relief that a client see, or that you see on their face from the worry of what's going to happen. Oh my goodness, I'm about to give 30+% off the top, and then what if I sell and I've got a broker? Now I've got another 10% thrown on top of that. You just see it melt off their face. Their shoulders relax more, and that right there is perfect and a perfect driver for what I do.
It's sort of like, you've done your job once you can help them have that either epiphany moment or part of their brain that goes, oh, wow, there's another way. And that just dissolves the stress of the burden of selling the property or selling the business or paying the tax or not having enough income to live off for retirement. When you go, no, we literally can save you hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars in the sale of your business, primary home, farm, investment, real estate, whatever it might be, by using this tool, which is a legal loophole. And for those listeners who are listening for the first time, the Deferred Sales Trust goes back to the 1920s. It's based on IRC 453, which is just an installment sale, and where this trust is basically going to buy your position by giving you a zero down payment, and is going to turn around and sell it to a cash buyer all ready to go. And they're going to take the asset, and the money's going to sit in the trust. But once it's in the trust, it's very flexible with where and how it can be invested. And the key is you're investing pre-tax dollars, and it can go on for as long as you want to, and it can pass on to your kids, and they can live off this wealth. And the key is so that you can have freedom from capital gains tax, which is the key here. So yeah, relieving that burden and that pressure and helping to build generational wealth are also two things that I've found to be the most rewarding part of what I do too. So now focusing a little bit more beyond the Deferred Sales Trust, Jeremy, walk us through maybe some of the services that you help people once the funds are in the Deferred Sales Trust. Where might they be able to invest to continue to create and preserve more wealth?
A number of methods that can be used. So obviously some of the people we're dealing with, or a lot of the people that we're dealing with, are nearing retirement, and they're more concerned about a return of their money than a return necessarily on their money. Obviously they want the return on their money if they can as well, but we steer as a firm, we steer folks into sound investment practices, things with a 0% floor so they don't lose their money. It might have a modest upside depending on the tracking function of the product. Insurance products are always a good way to go if you're looking to develop income streams for the long term. And again, most people in that retirement phase are looking for they're in that income phase of the distribution phase of their life as opposed to their accumulation phase. So even though we could, if they wanted to get into market-based functions, and we will put a percentage of that depending on their risk tolerance, they will fill out a risk questionnaire, and we'll discuss and we'll understand a lot about their situation before we move forward with any investment advice. But you know, a little bit in the markets, a little bit of risk, a little bit of conservative, and keep that money income flowing, and keep it working for them throughout. And again, most people are living well into their 80s now, and even into their 90s. One of our advisors, his grandmother just passed away at 102. So the longevity plan, most people don't necessarily think that far out. Well, we're helping push that envelope to think that far out, stretch that money, make it work for them all the way through, whether it's through the insurance products or the market-based functions. But we also look at it holistic plans, because you've got Social Security that's going to factor into that for most of those folks. You've got medical care that you're going to have. You've got long-term care. And these are all things that we like to say is sleep insurance. That again, like I talked about, the melting away of the stress when you talk to a client and you tell them, oh, no, you don't have to give that money to Uncle Sam. You see that sleep insurance helps them sleep better at night, knowing that their funds and their future are taken care of. So we like to get them into a mixture of assets. So
Yeah, you hit it right on the head, I think, there too, with depending on what stage the client is in and what their needs are, right, and what their risk tolerance is. And a lot of baby boomers, again, they're looking more for the income. They're looking more for safe investments, right? Return of their capital, not just return on their capital. They're more in the preservation stage versus the creation stage, although they may want to create. But what we found, they want to create at optimal timing, meaning buying when the market makes sense, not overpaying for properties or just staying in a business a property or a personal residence just to defer or not pay the capital gains tax. They really want options and flexibility, which is exactly what the Deferred Sales Trust provides. So I'm curious, Jeremy, you are a wealth advisor, and you've been in the business for a while now, and after helping countless individuals and families create and preserve more wealth, what are the single best, maybe one or two practices you found to do just that, to create and preserve more wealth that you would recommend to your clients or your family?
I go back to the insurance products, because I think that because of the way that the insurance products are required to maintain certain levels of on-hand cash, they are not allowed to do some of these things that banks are allowed to do with their deposited capital. I would definitely not leave a lot of money in a bank, that's for sure. Well, okay, well, that's for another discussion. But insurance products are a good base, and that's really what I like to focus on with folks who have the capital to keep that income coming in and form that base for their financial plan in the future. And not many folks focus on a generational aspect of wealth. There are a lot of folks, unless in my area, are concerned with their condition currently. And I like to kind of lift their eyes up just a little bit, look out a little further, and see the road ahead. What about your grandkids? What would you like to do? Like you mentioned earlier, charitable organizations, charitable giving, and again, generational wealth. How are you going to pass it along so that Uncle Sam doesn't come in and take their part when the death tax comes around when you pass away and your spouse passes away? how are you going to deal with those things that are coming up? Tax planning as opposed to tax preparation, right? Tax planning is an active activity that happens prior to. If you're just handing your papers to an accountant at the end of the year, then you are just doing preparation. If you're not tax planning, which is what the DST follows into, then you are not. You need to find another advisor, whether it's me or not. You need to find somebody who's definitely tax planning on that. So I would say the insurance products form the foundation for my recommendations, and whether that and that doesn't necessarily mean annuities or insurance policies so much. It could be viatical investments, which those types of investments typically target double-digit returns. They just tie up your cash a little bit longer, but they're still required to stay at certain the insurance companies. Grade A are they've been around a long time, and they do really well in the long run in the viatical investment world. So I really like to form a foundation with insurance products.
Excellent. So insurance products with high reserves versus maybe some banks that aren't as strong. Also planning with generational wealth, helping people to see beyond just their lifetime and what do they want to do perhaps for their kids or their grandkids. And then tax planning versus tax prep, right? So not just being kind of passive, meaning you just provide the documents. You're actually active in the planning with your CPA, with your tax attorney, with a deferred sales trust attorney to make sure you are maximizing what is probably going to be the biggest capital gains tax expense and sale of your lifetime. So making sure you have all that in place so that, again, you don't just pay the tax and it's gone forever, when you can keep it all deferred and working and earning for you. Any thoughts, additional thoughts on that, Jeremy, or is that a good summary?
That's pretty good. So far, so good. Yeah.
Excellent. So last, we're gonna do a lightning round, and then we're gonna do a last question. So you ready for the lightning round?
Let's go for it.
All right. Maybe a favorite book that comes to mind that you've read recently, or it could have been an old time favorite.
Black Swan.
Black Swan, excellent book. And let's talk about your favorite podcast, perhaps that you're listening to now.
Oh goodness. Have you ever heard of Another Kingdom by Andrew Klavan? It's like a online book or whatever. He's written a series of books before he's an author, and instead of releasing it as an audio book or a regular book, he's released it in podcast form. So Another Kingdom.
Let's see, favorite athlete or sports team?
Oh man, I really pay attention to sports very much. I am. Let's see. Can I say Kobe? I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Awesome. Yeah, and Kobe just passed, and it was really sad.
Very
such a legacy, and yeah, absolutely, that's a wonderful athlete to be favorite. Let's see. You're out of Mississippi, was where you're originally from, correct? So is it Mississippi State, or is it
yeah,
the other folks over there?
No. It's Mississippi State. No Ole Miss.
Okay. Right on. Now, last question, Jeremy. How do you stay centered in your values and encouraged to charge forward to reach new goals?
So I'm very active in my church, my community. My wife and I are both active in that. We participate and volunteer in that arena. I think that helps you establish and keep your principles about yourself. It's easy to get distracted in this world, and without those underlying principles that are offered through faith, I think that you can easily veer left and right and just miss the mark entirely, which is something that I continually pray about as guidance and blessing in whatever it is I'm doing. So that's pretty much how that happens. We're staying grounded with our church.
Awesome. Excellent. Any last thoughts to leave with the listeners here before we let you go?
I appreciate it. Thank you for your time, or thank you for interviewing. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And I want to thank our listeners for listening to another episode of Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast. Where as always, we want to help you create and preserve more wealth by using legal tax referral strategies such as the Deferred Sales Trust. so that you can retire, you can move from the toilets, trash, and liability, and so that you can live the lifestyle you want to live today, and also build generational wealth so you can give more tomorrow. So we appreciate you being a part of the show, and we look forward to connecting with all of you soon. Reach out to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com if we can be of any help, and reach out to Jeremy too. And his information will be in the show notes. Especially if you're anywhere in the Arkansas area, he can be a resource for you. Thank you so much, and look forward to the next show with you. Thank you.
You have just listened to another information-packed episode of Capital Gains Tax Solutions with Brett Swartz. We hope you enjoyed today's show and found it helpful. Visit capitalgainstaxsolutions.com to access the show notes and to access more resources. Don't forget to leave a review and join us again next time.